You are encouraged to install MySQL RDBMS to explore. However, it is not required. This course is an interactive course with virtual labs that will give you some exposure to the relational database management system. The hardware requirements are listed here. MySQL requires up-to-date hardware and you must have local admin right to install. Head over to mysql.com/downloads. You will see a list of RDBMS editions. Scroll down under MySQL Community Edition section. Select Community GPL Downloads. The Community Edition is a free open source version of MySQL. Select Windows, the 32 and 64-bit MySQL installer MSI. The next page will ask you to choose between two installer files. If you have an active internet connection, select the top download. If you have to be offline when you install for some reason, select the bottom download. The first one will download data while you install, while the second one has it all in one package. Finally, you will be prompted to log onto your Oracle account. If you don't have one, or if you don't want to sign in, select No Thanks. Just start my download at the bottom. The first screen asks you to agree to the terms and conditions of the GNU public license. Select I accept the terms and then select Next. Next, you will be given a choice to install. Choose Developer Default. On this slide, I have two products which fail the requirement check. However, since I do not need these two software, Virtual Studio and Python, I don't worry about it. I just click on Next to move forward. Take a look at the blue panel on the left. This is a list of things that we are doing. So far, we have entered the license agreement and we have chosen the setup type. The next thing we are doing is installation. On the right side, you see the list of products that will be installed. The most important product for us is MySQL server. That is the database engine. The second one is MySQL Workbench, which is the database tool that we are going to use to manage the database. Click on Execute to begin to install the packages. Once the installation is complete, click on Next. The next step is product configuration. You see on the right panel, there are three products or three configurations that we have to do. The first one is to configure the Microsoft server. The second one is to consider the router. And the third one is to configure the samples and examples databases. Click on Next. The MySQL database type for this installation is a standalone. We are installing one single standalone version of MySQL database on this machine. Click on Next. So here we configure the type and the networking. For the type, we have it as default development computer. This is the development environment that we are going to use to learn the database administration. The connectivity is TCP/IP. The default port is 3306, and the X protocol port is 33060. Click on Next and go to the next one. In order to get into the database, we need to be authenticated. So the authentication method here is using strong password. Just click on Next to go to the next screen. On the next screen, you are creating a user ID for yourself. In my case, I have username Minh Lương and the credential. Click on OK. The next step is to create Windows service. The Windows service name for us is default to MySQL 8.0. Run Windows service as standard system account and click on Next. On the next screen, we will click on Execute so that it will execute the configuration scripts that we have created so far. Once that is complete, we click on Finish. So that concludes the MySQL Server configuration. Our next step is to configure the SQL Server router. Click on Next. Recall that we installed a MySQL standalone database. Therefore, we don't have any clustering or any replication, any other databases to worry about. We can safely bypass the router configuration by clicking on Finish. The only thing left to do now is to configure the sample and example databases. Click on Next. The new instance of MySQL with the sample databases need a username and password. The username default root, and you are supposed to be giving it a password. After that, click on Next. After that, apply configuration by clicking on Execute. Now you see that the product configurations is complete. We have MySQL Server configuration complete. We have MySQL Router configuration not needed, and samples and examples database configuration complete. Click on Next. This screen shows us that after installation complete, we will have MySQL Workbench startup and MySQL Shell startup. Click on Finish. Here you see MySQL Workbench and MySQL Shell. In order to get into MySQL Workbench, go to MySQL Connections and click on Local Instance MySQL 80. This concludes the installation of MySQL.